Blog Talk Radio.
Pro Talk, Pro Talk, Pro Talk with the mighty Oba. The mighty Oba. Pro Talk.
Welcome to Pro Talk. This is the mighty Oba, my main man George Radney here in studio, and we have a very special guest with us here today. Stevie Johnson is he's on the phone line, but his physical presence and spiritual presence is here with us here on Pro Talk today. Stevie, how you doing?
Hey, man, I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, my pleasure, brother. And George, you doing good?
Yes, indeed.
Well, let's get it. It's time to talk about it. Stevie Johnson was drafted by the Buffalo Bills in the 7th round, 2008. Do you know you were the 224th pick of that draft, man?
Yeah, I still remember it vividly. 224 picks. I had the blessing to come to Buffalo and join that city.
What were your thoughts when you were finally drafted?
Well, it felt like I was the first pick, even though we had to wait some time.
Mm-hmm.
But, when it happened, I was excited as if I was number one.
Well, I tell you, the Buffalo Bills were very, very lucky to have drafted a player of your caliber because you ended up becoming one of the best receivers in Buffalo Bills history. 3 straight 1,000-yard seasons, and people need to realize, man, George, he averaged almost 13 yards a catch.
Yes, I was surprised at that. Looking at those numbers, I was like, wow. And you were blessed to be healthy. You played all 16 games, 3 consecutive years is very hard to do, especially in today's NFL.
Very, very tough, but it took sacrifice and waking up early in the morning and handling my business with the cold tubs, just in case we got athletes listening. It takes a lot to do that, and unfortunately in this game, the injuries will come, but the more you maintain your body, the longer you can play in this league, like myself.
Well, this is a big-time week for the Buffalo Bills against the New England Patriots. Stevie, tell me, what are some of your thoughts on some of those weeks? What are your memories in preparing for the New England Patriots?
Well, honestly, nothing was too different. I would say the competitor in myself, I prepare for every team as if they were the number one team, when it comes to the defensive backs, looking at the linebackers, seeing how their movement is. I don't take anything away from my opponent. So, I go into every week, game ready and, hopefully prepared enough to, do my part as best as I could.
How did you stay focused and going back to that first year, that 2010 season, how being a 7th round draft pick, obviously they're saying, well, he's got a 50-50 chance of making the team. When did you realize that you were making a headway and had a good idea that you keep going the way you're going, that you were going to be a part of that offense for that particular season?
Oh, that's funny. That's a good one. Because I was playing on the scout team. On the scout team, you going up against the one defense, and I was doing my thing. I had some of the guys on the one saying like, "Yo, who is this kid? Who is this 13?" And they started talking about my moves off the line, and I was like, man, if I'm doing this on, our ones, maybe I do have action at becoming, a player in this league. But I knew it was about patience and my opportunity, so I still had to wait 2 years after that in order to, get my shot.
Stevie, you were drafted as a long shot. If you remember, James Hardy was the so-called receiver of the future for the Bills, and he was drafted in the 2nd round. Unfortunately, James passed away just a couple of years ago. What were your thoughts when you found out that James had passed away?
Man, I was so sad. R.I.P. to James, man. We came in together, and I had plans on me and him being the receivers of the future. I didn't even see it as him being picked 2nd round, me being picked 7th. I felt like we needed receivers, and I thought we were going to be those guys, but unfortunately, things went left for him, and so I don't know. I was just sad, wish I could have done more. I wish he could have done more, because we don't know what be on people's minds. But if I could say anything about that situation, it's just, don't be afraid to speak to your friends or talk to your friends or ask for help. And things may have gone other ways in that case.
What has been your thoughts with Antonio Brown? I know being a receiver in the league, you met with some adversity during your career. What are your thoughts on Antonio Brown?
Well, I mean, it's like two sides of it. Some of the things, like myself, first before I put him out, I put myself out there. Like some of the things I've done, I put on myself. And a few of the other things I've done, it was just natural. Like, like as simple as celebrating. How do you get fined for celebrating? We work hard for this, and we're not harming anybody. But I was doing things in Antonio Brown's situation. Some of the things he brought upon himself. But then in other situations, as far as him jumping teams and doing those things, I think it's good for the players. In the mindset of the locker room, it's giving the players some leverage, and not everyone, but players of that caliber or in their situation that's best suited for them. It gives them some power like the owners have. So I'm cool with it.
And Stevie, what you mentioned that your moves in practice. What was that move? Because you still seem like it still confused a lot of defensive backs when you were on the line of scrimmage. It was almost like sometimes you would even move off the ball when the ball was snapped, and then you would do something like almost like a crossover type basketball type move on them.
Yeah, we just call it the ooh-wee. Give him that ooh-wee.
The ooh-wee, huh?
That ooh-wee.
I like that.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, hey, we actually got some players though on our team that got that ooh-wee special in them. So I'm looking forward to seeing them create, for this upcoming game, because we're going to need it. We're going to need it from first quarter all the way to fourth, and maybe we got to go even further.
Right. And that's what you did throughout your career. You were never known as being the fastest receiver, but most people said, man, you just can't stay with him. He acts like he's playing basketball on the football field.
Yeah, I felt like that was my advantage, and you hit it right on the head with that. I was never the fastest, but when it comes down to what you lack in, you must excel in other places. So, getting with guys like in college, Keenan Burton, Biggie Lyons, and studying film and understanding body movement, body language of opposing players. So that gave me a head start on most of my moves. When I see them leaning or a little off balance, I can get a quick first step on them.
All right, hey, let's talk about some of the games that transpired this past weekend. Any games stand out for you, Stevie?
You mean college or
pros? NFL.
Okay, yeah, because I'm always thinking about Kentucky. I always watching my team in college. So, well, in the NFL, only ones I look at is the Chargers, the 49ers, and the Bills for the most part. And the thing that stuck out to me was our Buffalo Bills winning, and and going 3-0 and entering this week to play against the Patriots undefeated.
Stevie, how would it be for you coming in today, playing in this era where now it looks the wide receivers can go across the middle without getting their heads knocked off as in during your era? Now that middle is now becoming open to the receivers once again. Would you feel you would be able to be even more successful in this era?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I feel like I can, as an athlete or as a competitor, I can be successful in any era. So, I wouldn't even put my mind into that thought to say, oh yeah, I wish I was just playing now. I just feel like that with any era, even if it was back in the day, So, I'm just happy that I'm still, able to get interviews with you guys and be around the community and make an impact in that type of way. So, I'm excited about that more so than playing football again.
Well, who's the one quarterback out of these young quarterbacks of today that Stevie Johnson would like to take passes from?
You know, Josh, I catch passes from Josh. You know, being as dear as I am to Buffalo, and knowing that they have a solidified quarterback now, moving on from my quarterback fit. So that'd be cool. But a quarterback that I admire in the league is Lamar Jackson in Baltimore. He's one of the quarterbacks that I've been checking since high school, and then seeing his progressions from out in Kentucky with the Cardinals, and then him being picked 30th or wherever he got picked. It's like, wow, this kid is like, you can't see how skilled and talented this kid is, and seeing him flourish right now is just like seeing Josh Allen flourish when everybody was talking negative on him. So those two I'm really excited about watching the rest of their career.
He's like yourself, right? You had a little chip on your shoulder coming in the league, and Lamar Jackson, he seemed to take offense and accepted the challenge that, hey, a lot of guys were picked before me, but I'm going to show you. He's the first one that got his team to the playoffs last year out of that class.
Right, and the thing is, it's not just the chip on the shoulder, the cliche, oh, this many teams picked before me, et cetera. It's the fact that, like, did you see what he was doing in college, and winning a Heisman, and then you still picking quarterbacks ahead of me because you're labeling that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like in that situation, if he was to say he want to change teams or whatnot, then it'll be a bunch of other news spoken about him instead of just his skills. You know what I mean? It don't matter what team he's playing for, because these teams go trade players whether they want, when they want to, or when they don't, and we got to just deal with it. You feel me? So if a player of his caliber and how well he's doing was to say, all right, I don't want to play for Baltimore, I want to play in Washington now or something, people should just go ahead and accept what it is. It's a player speaking now. You know,
right?
It's an evolution now in the game, and we've seen it in basketball. We've seen it everywhere, and it's good for the players. I'm just thinking from the players' mindset.
Beautiful. And Stevie, I noticed you also train young receivers. Is that on the high school or college level or pro?
Yeah, all levels. I've trained from all levels. So from the youth level, I've had players from high school and college, and I've had professional players and overseas. I play. I feel like I don't know everything, but I played a few years in the league and been through some things to where I know I got a bunch of wisdom on this route running and how to expand people's game. So I'm just always there to help whenever people hit me up on social media, and we just tap in and we handle our business.
Yeah, Steve.
Get out.
Is there any one or two guys that you could think of players that we don't know about yet that you think that you feel that they're going to do well on the college or pro level in the future?
Yeah, I'll give you one in college, and he's dear to Buffalo, and it's Casey Kelly. He's at Ole Miss right now, and tight end, freshman, first year, and now I'm not giving you nobody else gonna be blowing up right this second, but you'll hear about Casey, and it'll be good for our city because it's another one of the Buffalonians that's handling business, and he's at Ole Miss right now, tight end.
A tight end. All right, we're definitely gonna keep an eye on him.
Let me ask you this, Stevie. What were your thoughts on your old team, now the Los Angeles Chargers? They're having their struggles. Word is that Melvin Gordon is on his way back into camp. I don't like how that goes for running backs. I think you're worth your value, and you should be paid. But, I understand the nature of the business. But what's going on with the Los Angeles Chargers?
Right, I say let's just keep getting the ball 13. Keep throwing it to Keenan Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Just keep. They gotta apply pressure. Melvin's a big piece. They still got a running back in Eckler who's doing his part to the fullest. They just ran into a couple situations where they couldn't get out of, and good thing that is early in the season because we've seen how things can change up for that team as seasons go on. So They just got to get their run in, and they'll be fine.
All right. Hey, we're going to do some picks for next week. Want to see how good Stevie Johnson can predict. We're going to let you know how well you did, all right?
All right, nice. That sounds fun.
All right. We got Thursday night's game, Eagles against the Packers. Who you taking, Stevie?
I'm going to take the Pack.
You taking the Pack? George?
Yeah.
Oh, I like the Eagles in this one, bouncing back.
You think they're going to bounce back?
Well, some of they see that's the thing with Thursday night. The Eagles had to hold some of their guys out Sunday because they knew they either could play Sunday or Thursday, and some of those guys who didn't play Sunday are already been stated that they're going to be on the field Thursday night.
Stevie, what did you think about Thursday night games? I just think they're inhumane.
Yeah, it's tricky because once I keep going back to the player mindset. We want to be on Showtime. We want to be the only game out there, But it's just a toll. It takes a toll on your body to keep it 100. It's tough. But the fuel that we have in us to play and the love that we have of the game. It's tough to stop them Thursday night games. And then when it comes from the fans' perspective, also, which I am now. We love to watch the games also. It's something else to do. It's another party for Thursday. So it's a sick situation. Just hopefully we got coaches that understand it and give their players rest like the NBA has done. So that can be a way to counter that.
Would you prefer a 16-game schedule or an 18-game schedule with 2 less preseason games?
16 and then just do.
Most players only want to play 16.
It's crazy. I don't know, man. That's tough, man. It's just about if the coaches are cool enough to letting the players take care of their body. You can keep it at 4 games if you like, but it's just about player management. And when we were playing, not when I was playing, but a little bit before my time. They wasn't talking too much about concussions, and then as I was getting in, concussions was beginning to be talked about or spoke on, and now it's heavy, So in that type of situation with players being able to rest, you never would hear about players getting a rest or coaches allowing their players to rest, but NBA does it, and that's the nature of the business. It's a tough game, and we need coaches that's understanding, and from what I've heard. Coach McDermott is one of those player coaches that has a really great balance with the team and with the business too.
That's a good thing. Yeah. All right, how about the Titans and the Falcons? Who are you taking, Stevie?
I'm gonna run with the underdog Titans squad because a lot of people like the Falcons, the look of them. They are a good team. I like them also, but I roll with the underdog, so I'm going with Tennessee.
George?
I'll go with Falcons.
What'd you say, Stevie?
My boy Wesley Woodyard from Kentucky's out there, so I want to shout out to him.
All right. Washington against the Giants.
I got Washington. I'm going Washington. Case Keenum's got to bounce back. It was an ugly one, and Oh wait, Daniel Jones he's got the key now, right?
He's got the key.
For now.
Keys to the car right now, buddy.
I'm still going Washington because Barkley's out, right?
Barkley's out 4 to 8 weeks.
I changed my pick. I'm going Giants.
Going Giants, George?
Yes.
You going Giants?
Yes.
Okay, everybody's Giants. All right, Chargers at the Dolphins.
Chargers.
Yeah,
For sure, I'm going Chargers.
Must win for the Chargers, definitely.
Must win. Are the Dolphins going to win a game?
Yeah, they'll win the game.
They're going to win one game.
One game.
At least one. Hopefully not against the Bills. All right, Raiders. Raiders at the Colts.
I take my one back there in that case because we got to see them twice.
That's right.
That's right.
How about Raiders and the Colts, Stevie?
Raiders and Colts. I'm going with the Raiders. I'm going with Tyrell Williams. That's my boy out there. So I'm going with the Raiders home team.
All right, George.
Colts.
Colts too. All right, Panthers at the Texans. Deshaun Watson is blowing it up. How would you like to take passes from him, Stevie?
Yeah, I like Watson. I like his style. He's doing his thing. I'm going with the Texans.
George?
Texans.
Texans. Oh, all right. We got an undefeated matchup. Who would have figured the Kansas City Chiefs were going up against the undefeated Detroit Lions?
Yeah. Yeah, with a tie mixed in there for the undefeated Lions there.
Who you taking, Stevie?
I'm going with the Lions. Once again, I'm going with the underdogs. The Kansas City Chiefs were the underdogs maybe last year or a couple years ago. I'm going with the Lions as the underdog pick.
George?
For some reason, I like the Lions this week too. Their defense is gelling, and now if Stafford doesn't turn the ball over, they can have a good chance to win it.
All right, I am taking the Chiefs. Browns at the Ravens.
I'm going Jackson. I just had 3 minutes talking about this. I can't go against him now.
Can't go against Lamar Jackson. George?
Ravens for sure, and the countdown has begun for Freddie Kitchens. How much longer will he last as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns? It doesn't look good, Freddie. Even though he's from my hometown of Gaston, Alabama, it doesn't look good for the homeboy.
Doesn't look good. All right, the other game I wanted to get in before we talk about the Bills is Cowboys and the Saints. That's a big-time game. Who are you picking, Stevie?
I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I got Ezekiel Elliott on my fantasy.
No, you're not supposed to let fantasy get involved. Remember, fantasy is an individual game.
This is my first year, so I'm allowed to make those type of mistakes right now, man.
All right, George, who you picking?
I was at this game 5 years ago in 2014 in Sunday night in Dallas, and Dallas stumped the Saints so bad they didn't have enough room for the injured Saints that night. I think the Saints remember it. I think New Orleans will eke this one out.
All right, one other game before we go to our game here in Western New York. Vikings at the Bears, Stevie. This is going to be a big-time contest. Who you picking?
You know what? I'm liking what that Bears defense looks like.
Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack, Buffalo product, and Danny Trevathan, Kentucky product. With AR-12 now. Allen Robinson, I think I'm going with the Bears.
All right, George?
I like the Bears in this one as well.
I take the Bears, too. All right, Patriots at the Bills, Stevie Johnson. This is a game that you've had to play many times over in your career. Who are you picking?
I'm going to pick the Buffalo Bills, and I'm looking, my keys to victory is going to be endurance. Endurance this game all the way through and being able to bounce back when the Patriots strike.
If you say so, Stevie. Yes, indeed.
George, who you picking?
Oh, Patriots. The Bills. Josh Allen will turn the ball over, and the thing about the Patriots, they don't beat themselves, and that's how you almost got to play almost a perfect game against them. I see the Patriots winning it 31-24.
Stevie, I'm sorry. I'm from Western New York, but as a journalist, I have to pick the Patriots.
I don't want to hear it.
Sorry, man. I know. I understand the loyalty of playing for the Bills, but you tell me. You go up against, you've gone up against Bill Belichick defenses. How confusing are they sometimes? Do you have to be aware of your hot reads when he's running these confusing blitz packages? I mean, just how good of a defensive mind is this guy?
You know what? Honestly, I think our quarterback is at a point where he's not frantic inside the pocket anymore. So, with that being said, and with the savviness of Brown and Beasley, the defenses are all tough in the NFL. You just got to be patient. When you're patient, the holes will open up, and you just got to make it happen from there. So, if you got a quarterback that's frantic in the pocket or learning in the learning phase, then yeah, it's gonna be tough to go up against a team like that. That's sound and on everything that they do.
But you know what, Stevie? I realize he went up against Carlos Dunlap and Geno Atkins, but the Bills did not give Josh Allen a very clean pocket this week. How does that affect the quarterback, but also how does it affect you as the route runner?
Yeah, this week was tough, and I was speaking real highly on the offensive line. I still do. It was a tough one this week. We'll see how they bounce back. It's just going to be on Josh to show them that he's loyal to them and to their protection by not trying to turn into Air Island just too soon,
Real quick, George.
Well, hey, it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be good. I just think that as you get toward the end of the game, I think that's when the Patriots will just pull away from the Bills at the end of this one.
I'm with George on this, Stevie. I'm sorry. But hopefully we see you Sunday. We're down to our last 20 seconds. It is a great honor and pleasure to have you on our new show, Pro Talk. I hope you enjoyed it. And most of all, I hope you feel free to come back when we invite you again.
Absolutely. Thanks for the time, man. Remember, everybody, handle biz and have fun.
All right. We'll see you Sunday,
care.
buddy. That's all for us here on Pro Talk. I'm the Mighty Oba.
Pro Talk, Pro Talk, Pro Talk with the Mighty Oba. The Mighty Oba. Pro Talk.
White House Report.
Alice McGill Johnson, the acting president of Planned Parenthood, discusses the current challenges for minority and low-income women as it relates to abortions and Roe v. Wade in this nation.
Where are we, and do you think that Roe v. Wade will be overturned before this president leaves office, be it impeachment or election or another 4 years?
Not necessarily before 2020, but what I see is that a pattern, right? That we've just been forced out of Title X. We have 26 bans in the last year, in 2019, around abortion. We have conservative judges being confirmed, all in a coordinated strategy, with 15 cases that are rolling their way up to Justice Kavanaugh. And that's what we're concerned about, because we know that Roe is at stake, definitely, if not in 2020, definitely in 2021.
So poor people really are in the midst of this debate. What's the reality when it comes to what they're trying to do?
The reality is our lives are at stake. We've seen what happens when they cut off basic access to health care that has been publicly funded. We've seen what's happened when when Medicaid is to be funded in states like Iowa and New Hampshire, where we've had public health outbreaks around STI increases because we don't have access to our health centers.
I'm April Ryan, AURN News.
The White House Report.
How are the three, Dr. Yusuf Salaam, Raymond Santana, and Corey Rise, using their voices as it relates to moving on with the upcoming presidential elections?
I think in my own capacity, speaking as my own self, I am trying to do everything in my power, as my own self, to deny him the ability to become the president of these United States. He said every opportunity to step up and say, you know what, I am going to try to be presidential. But every single moment that he's had that opportunity, he's failed. And so what we're doing as a collective and as individuals is we're trying to plant seeds in the minds of those future members who are going to change society. Right? The system was built in the way that it is, and it's not broken. It's operating exactly how they designed this system to be operating. And so what I'm encouraging young people, when they say, I want to be a cop, which we've gotten asked that question. Young cadets stepping up, hey, I'm 13 years old, I want to be a cop. What advice can you give me? My advice is that you do your job. My advice is that on the side of cop cars throughout the nation, we see some variation of to serve and protect. On the side of cop cars in New York City, it goes a step further. It says courtesy, professionalism, and respect. But then you look at an Eric Garner, and you realize that as he was killed on public TV, everyone saw him saying, I can't breathe, I can't
11
breathe.
times.
They didn't give him CPR. They didn't give him the first letters of the cop car to try to save him.
All right, welcome. Thank you for tuning in to Locker Talk on the Bachelor News Radio Network, where you hear about NFL stars of tomorrow today. I'm your host, Barry Barnes, founder and CEO of Locker-Report.com. And you guys can always reach me directly at any one of my social handles on Twitter, Locker_Report, or B Sports, on Instagram, Lock Report 100, all small caps, Facebook, LockReport.com, or you simply shoot me a message via email at locker-report.com. Thanks a lot, guys, for joining me. Very impactful. A lot to get through today's show. Really excited. Week 4 of the NFL kicked off last night with an awesome game between the Packers and the Philadelphia Eagles, and to see the Eagles able to pull that game off was definitely exciting. Unfortunately, we had a couple of players that went out last night because of injuries, and Maddox, I believe that everything is fine with him. He got caught off the field last night, 2 players, one from each team, so we hope that they will have a speedy recovery. And one of the best things about situations like that, it's always great to see how all the fans and how both teams, although they out there trying to tear each other's head off, or better yet, I would say, try to impose their will on another man to stop them from doing what their goal is and their job, to be able to put all that stuff aside and really show what brotherhood is all about. So to me, that was the biggest highlight of last night's game, as far as everyone on both sides and the fans. Definitely credit the fans at Lambeau Field of their support for the players during the time while they was on the field, getting the help they needed, and for them to be able to cart it off and still have all extremities, feelings in their body. It was a great thing. So that was the part that I took away from last night. But other than that, on the play in the field, great game from Carson Wentz. Solid performance from the Eagles sticking in there and coming back. That was great. So that was the kickoff for Week 4. And to start off Week 4, like I said, I'm going to always start the show talking about what to look for the current week that's in detail with the NFL. But on today's show, last week I touched on the outlets, my watch list, so to speak, for the preseason top defensive players to watch out for from the small schools, particularly Division II, FCS. So last week I touched on the defensive backs. So today we're going to wrap up the linebackers and defensive front. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Hopefully I say some names that you guys probably have an idea who they are. But the whole point is to highlight these guys now, because after the completed season this year, I'm going to formulate my final outlets for the 2020 NFL season. So I'm really excited about that. So we're going to wrap up the show with that. But first, we're going to dig into just a little bit of news regarding the NFL for Week 4, then talk about the guys who I primarily cover from the NFL Regional Combine, how those guys performed in Week 3, and see what we can look forward to in Week 4. You listen to Locker Talk on the Bachelor News Radio Network, where you hear about NFL stars of tomorrow today. All right. First off, what to look for in Week 4. Make sure you guys have your pens and paper out, because there's breaking down some good stuff here. Now, this term starting off is pretty much dealing with the quarterbacks, and it's considered with the 100% completion record. So I like to label this 100 and 100. Through the first 3 weeks of the NFL's 100th season, 11 quarterbacks have a passer rating of 100 or higher with a minimum of 20 attempts, the most through 3 weeks in NFL history. So that's the most for since 100 years. 11 quarterbacks throwing over 100% or finishing with a passer rating over 100%. So that's the most. The list of the quarterbacks include 2 rookies and Daniel Jones with the New York Giants, Gardner Minshew for Jacksonville Jaguars, along with 2-year quarterbacks in Kyle Allen for the Carolina Panthers. Had some news on him a little bit, a couple of minutes from now, and Lamar Jackson from the Baltimore Ravens. In total, 6 quarterbacks under the age of 25 and 8 over the age of 30 have a passer rating of 100 or higher with a minimum of 20 attempts through the first 3 weeks of the league. And so the players that I mentioned also throw in Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady, Jacoby Brissett, who's doing really good there, Deshaun Watson, and despite having a losing record, Case Keenum. Now, as far as just barely under 100% in completion rating, just under, that may eclipse over to get over 100 after week 4. Have Marcus Mariota, who's sitting at 99.3, and Los Angeles Chargers Phillip Rivers, that's sitting at 98.5. So it's a good chance that after this week, they should eclipse 100 passing rating. Now, I did mention how there's some news as far as with Kyle Allen. Now, with his first start of the season, which was last week, how they was victorious against the Cardinals, Kyle Allen had completed 261 yards, 4 touchdowns, and no interceptions with a 144 passer rating. So very solid there. Now, with no interceptions. This including last year when he had his first start to end the season last year where he had a rating of 111.3 and pretty much had a solid victory in last year's finale for the Carolina Panthers. Now, entering this Sunday's matchup with the Houston Texans, Allen can become the first player in the Super Bowl era to throw at least 2 touchdown passes without an interception in each of his first 3 career starts. So that's something to watch out for, Carolina fans. I would say, knowing what the situation with Cam Newton, with him being injured, I know it's almost like a slippery slope. It's one of those situations you want him to hurry up and come back so he can help carry this team. But at the same time, you have a quarterback that's very effective from the pocket. It's one of those situations where if he continues to be successful and those guys continue to win, and I don't want to say it's going to be a controversy, but I would say the tolerance level for Cam Newton probably will be lesser if they continue to have a good track record, keep winning record with Kyle Allen in control there. Okay, so there are some of the things to watch out for this week, going into week 4 of the NFL season. You listen to Locker Talk of the Bachelor News Radio Network when you hear about NFL stars of tomorrow today. And speaking of which, talking about stars of tomorrow today, I'm going to jump right to what the guys from the NFL Regional Combine platform did last week in week 3. And I would say last week was a defensive affair where you had more of the defensive players last week from the platform that was really, really on top of their game. And one of the games that really stood out was the Indianapolis Colts and Atlanta Falcons game, where they both had one have a star, and I would say with Kenny Moore II. He's a star with the Indianapolis Colts, signed a big extension earlier part of this year, and then you got Kamara Ishmael, who's been with the Falcons since 2012. So he's a 7-year veteran, and he's going to get even more playing time, knowing that Keanu Neal is out for the rest of the season due to a torn ACL. So Ishmael's going to have even more playing time with this season. And this is not his first time. It's not like he was sitting on the bench for years and he never really got no playing time. It was one time he led the Atlanta Falcons in tackling, which was in 2014. So he's a staple within that defense. Had kind of took a different role when Dan Quinn took over as head coach, where his role had changed up a little bit, where he was used more sparingly than actively all the time. So, but this Sunday, knowing with his experience, Daniel Quinn is definitely confident knowing that Ishmael can be able to carry the load or carry the load that Neal has carried. But he did say that it's going to be a task where it's going to be multiple safeties, multiple defensive players to try to max out the production that Keanu Neal actually has for that team. But with all that said, last week against the Colts, he wound up finishing with 7 tackles in that game. Finished second in stops for his team. And then you had Kenny Moore with the Colts was victorious. He wound up walking away with 6 tackles for himself. And he was, my fault, Moore had 7 tackles. Ishmael had 6. But they both finished second on their team with tackles. Moore was all over the place. You know that he's pretty much going to be that leader for that secondary. He's starting to really walk into that role a lot more, and it showed a lot last week. Also, as far as on the defensive side of the ball, we have Washington Redskins rookie linebacker Cole McCombs. I talked about him last week, someone to watch out for during prime time, and he did not let up. In that game against the Chicago Bears Sunday, Chicago Bears had their way with Washington, but Cole had his way against the Bears' offensive players when he was on the field. He actually led the Redskins in tackles with 9, so he had himself a solid outing in his first primetime game. And I think that you need to keep your eyes, especially if you're watching Redskins fans, watch out for number 55. He's going to be something special. Like I said a million times, he reminds me a lot of Sean Lee for the Dallas Cowboys. Just hopefully he can stay healthy and not have the bumps and bruises that will keep him out for long periods of time, like Sean Lee had experienced for the Dallas Cowboys. So that's a player there to definitely watch out for. And but as far as on the offense side of the ball, we did have on the offense side of the ball, we did have some action. Seth Roberts, wide receiver for the Baltimore Ravens, had caught 2 passes for 37 yards. His biggest catch was when Lamar Jackson tried to go deep, and he actually caught the ball in the 2, fell down on 1, and tried to stretch the ball into the end zone. So with his veteran leadership with the Baltimore Ravens, that gave the Ravens a player out there who Lamar can go to in times of need to help get them out of tight situations. And then we roll on with Adam Dillon, who's an all-pro wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings. Last week he scored twice, but one of his touchdowns was his first career 1-yard touchdown, which came early in the second quarter from the 1-yard line. He took an inside handoff from Kirk Cousins. Took a shot actually before he ran into the end zone. It was a clean hit, but he was able to bounce off the defender, safety for the Raiders, Carl Joseph, bounced off of him, and then it's pretty much just waltzed right into the end zone. But he opened the game up on the Vikings' first drive with a 39-yard touchdown where he caught going across underneath the zone in the middle part of the field. Kirk Cousins hit him in stride. Next thing you know, he started to walk right into the end zone. So he pretty much had a solid outing against the Oakland Raiders, and that's something to see how he continued to move pace on. To see how he can carry on for the rest of the season, which I have no doubts that he's going to do very well and finish this season strong. As far as this week, the main person to highlight for the Oakland Raiders, and his name is Vincent Mayowa. Defensive end, came through the process in the NFL Regional Combine 2013, won the Super Bowl with the Seattle Seahawks that year, bounced around the league, landed with the Raiders, signed with the Cowboys, with the Arizona Cardinals last year. Then he went back to the Raiders this year, and knowing that at the time when he was with the Raiders the first time, he was a young pup, knowing that Khalil Mack was the main guy there. Now Khalil Mack is gone. He's brought in to be that edge rusher that the Raiders desperately need. They only had 13 sacks last year. Right now they're sitting at 5, and this gentleman had 3.5 sacks. Let's see if he can get back on track against the Colts. So last week he missed out on getting the sack. You listen to Locker Talk on the Bachelor News Radio Network. We hear about NFL stars. So today we're going to take a quick pause, come back, and we're going to get right to the outlets.
Hey, this is LA Bachelor reminding you if you're looking for real discussion on sports, politics, religion, and other topics, you need to join us on Mondays at 6 p.m. Eastern at WCOMFM.org, on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. at blogtalkradio.com/LA-Bachelor, and on Thursdays at the same web address. Follow us on Facebook at Pad Nation, on Twitter, Pad Nation, the number 2 at Twitter, LinkedIn, and you can email us with your requests, your comments, your concerns, anything you want at our email address at LABachelor with a T, BATCHELOR 40 at gmail.com. Follow us on Facebook and Pad Nation, Instagram, and of course, if you missed any part of our broadcast, make sure you go to thebachelorpadnetwork.com and listen and enjoy the Bachelor Pad.
All right, and we back. Thank you for joining the Locker Talk on the Bachelor News Radio Network, where you hear about NFL stars of tomorrow today. I'm your host, Barry Barnes, founder and CEO of Locker-Report.com. Always reach out to me directly at any one of my social handles. On Twitter, Locker_Report, 2B Sports. On Instagram, LockReport100, all small caps. Facebook, LockReport.com. Or you guys can shoot me a message via email at barrybarnes@locker-report.com. Now, make sure you guys continue to listen to the Bachelor News Radio Network. Check the site out. It's something, get on this before it really gets really big so you guys can know and be familiar with how great this network is and what it can be. So make sure you guys be the first. We cover everything from politics, religion, sports, news, entertainment, social, anything you can think of that needs to be talked about, we have it here on this network. So make sure you guys tune in, and also check us out on TuneIn, and just look up Bachelor Radio News Radio Network, and you guys can find all the programming, including myself, Barry Barnes, the Locker Talk, founder and CEO of Locker-Report.com, and ready to get right into this list now. Like I said, last week I talked about the outlets, and the outlets basically stands for Overlooked Unknown Talents. This list that I composed pretty much last year, but I changed the name to the outlets instead of just calling it a watch list. It's more of an outlet to watch out for small school guys that you don't know about now. You never heard of them. But I want you guys to get abreast to them now, because you don't want to be that football fan a couple of years from now trying to find out who this guy named Zach Hall is. I want you guys to get up on this early, and this list will change. Some of the guys who I'm naming today or have named probably won't be on the list at the end of the year, depending on how their season goes. But, however, this is a good look for us for the preseason. Before the season starts, I know they're into the collegiate year now, but check it out. If anybody's name that you think I missed or you want to look at and review it, you can always go to Locker-Report.com and check out the outlets. Button is at the top. Click on it. You see the stories. You see the articles. Now let's get right into the names. Zach Hall, Southeast Missouri State, 6 foot, 238 pounds. He was a 2018 Dick Buchanan Award winner. He is this year's 2019 preseason Ohio Valley Conference Player of the Year. He's also the National Defensive Player of the Year for the Athletic Directors Association. So he coming in this season, he came into the season highly, decorated, expecting to be strong and finish what he has been doing since he's been in college. Last year, he was voted as Ohio Valley Conference Defensive Player of the Year. He's a sure tackler, have good hands. He has solid pad level. He's a finisher. He's fundamentally sound, aggressive, athletic. He have good lateral movement. And last year he finished with 168 tackles. Ooh, talk about filling the stat sheet. That's what Mr. Hall was able to do last year. Then we have another gentleman named Jonas Griffin, who I'm really high on. Indiana State, 6'4", 250 pounds. He was voted as the FCS second team preseason All-American. He explodes on impact, very strong. He's a fiery individual, very confident, solid pad level, meaning that he can get low to make to get low enough to be able to strike a running back or any ball carrier where you don't want to hit someone high. You want to be able to get low enough where you can be more of a short tackler. That's something that he has. He's quick from sideline to sideline, good speed for his position and size. He gets good penetration, has good hands, and he finished last year with 132 tackles. Jeremiah Chambers from Abilene Christian, a solid player there in his own right. When you look at this young man, he's very disciplined. He was a team captain. He's definitely a leader. He seals the edges well. So that means basically when you have your players that's trying to get to the outside, he'll get to that end to stop that ball carrier from taking the ball up the field. He's a pure tackler. He's very strong, good speed from sideline to sideline. Sheds blockers very well. He can make a home in the NFL basically off special teams. He's a solid special teams player. He has explosive from his legs, very patient, and he finished last year with 113 tackles. Now, here we go. Damon, all right, the tongue twister here. Damon Soskindeski, who come from Glenville State, 255 pounds, 6'2". He was considered Division II Super Region 1, second team player for the defense side of the ball. He holds containment very well. He's very patient. He waits for the play to develop before he attacks. He's a solid tackler, good hands, good leaping ability for his size, strong, has great vision. He's also, I label as a leader, and he finished last year with 134 tackles, including 3 sacks. Chris Hold from Texas Perryman Basin, 6 foot, 228 pounds. He was the 2018 Lone Star Conference Linebacker of the Year in All-Conference First Team. He has a high motor, very smart, agile, very intense, very instinctive, patient. He's committed, meaning that he's committed to the game, but he also commits to the play that he has to make. A lot of times you have defensive players that will probably think twice on how he's going to make an impact or how he's going to make a tackle. What you mean by committed is that when he sees where he's going to hit, he sees his target, and he hits through the ball carrier. That's the type of tackler that he is, and that's what I mean by he's committed. Very balanced, shed blocks, have great feet, strong, aggressive, and he finished third in the nation in tackles with 133 and had 1.5 sacks. Tyler Denson from Wayne State, New England, 6'1", 202 pounds. He was considered all-NSIC South Division first teamer, third team All-American, quick off the snap, versatile, strong, very instinctive, balanced, has strong hands, good feet. He's a sound tackler, and he finished last year with 120 tackles. Dakota Denskill from Northwestern Oklahoma, 6 foot, 218 pounds, very strong, good feet, solid technique. He has good pad level, fiery, aggressive. He understands angles well. And if you don't have great speed, which a lot of defensive players, especially linebackers, do not have, but the way how they get over is understanding angles, and this is something that Dakota understands. Can get to his spot and attack effortlessly. He finished last year with 120 tackles last season. Some solid defensive players is out there. Austin Stevens, 5'11", 210 pounds. He was considered last year's All-Region 2 football first teamer. He was also 2018 SIAC Sacks Defensive Player of the Year. Very reliable. He's a leader, pure tackler, strong, smart, reads the quarterback very well, have good closing speed. He, too, understands angles. He's a finisher, very confident, solid pad level, and he finished last year with 120 stops. Now, almost rounded up with 2 more players left. I probably won't get through my defensive front, but I'll carry my defensive front information until next week. It's not a problem. I'm not going nowhere, and I'm confident that you guys not going to go nowhere either. You listen to Locker Talk on the Baxter News Radio Network. All right, to Davis Davis from Mississippi Valley State, 6 foot, 185 pounds, on the light side. However, he attacks a play. He attacks a play before it's developed. So he's very instinctive, knowing that where the spot is going to be, where a handoff is going to be at, or where a running back is going to make their cut, he's going to be in that spot. So clearly, he's very agile. He's strong for his size, and he's very fast, very quick, very intense. His instinctive skill set is off the charts. He also is solid in drop back coverage. So you have a linebacker that can drop back underneath that zone where a lot of times you may have that little box area where a slot receiver will be open, where there'll be that little window where a quarterback who's good enough to get the ball there, he can drop back and shut that part off. So that's a unique skill set for him to have, especially for his size and his height. Good closing speed, good solid penetration. He explodes with impact, and last year he finished with 101 tackles. And to round up the preseason outlist for his linebackers, Devon Hunt from Shaw University, 6'1", 220 pounds. He's Shaw's all-time leading tackler. He's solid against the run. He's excellent against play action. Has great feet. He's a hard hitter. Sound tackler. Will sacrifice. Now, this is key. I love this part. He will sacrifice his stats for a team's success on the play. So it's play by play. So if there's an opportunity for him to be able to make a tackle, he will take on a block. They paint this picture. That if you have a running back that's breaking through the hole, and he sees an opportunity that he can make the tackle because he is quick enough to get to him, he won't try to close up that gap so that we can try to stop him behind the backfield or stop him before he made penetration to get to the second level. A selfish player will just try to run him down just to pat stats, know they can get him. But if he recognizes that if I can just jam this left tackle or hit this right guard so that my man on my edge rusher or my defensive tackle, who's a lot closer, can get to him quicker than I can, so there will be no yards after the carry or yards at the handoff, he will take on that block so that his teammate can get to him. And so I'm really excited about him. He hits through the ball carrier, very fast, very patient, and he has decent hands and has great pad level. And speaking of Mr. Hunt, next week, make sure you guys tune in to Locker Talk, because I will have him on the show, as well as the head coach from Shaw. So I'm looking forward to having both the gentlemen on next week. We're going to talk about the football program, talk about how their season going so far, and also talk about the NFL Regional Combine platform and its importance, and also talk about this importance of this list and see where this young man is at and see how he's going to pursue on trying to get to the next level. You guys listen to the Locker Talk on the Baxter News Radio Network, where you hear about NFL stars of tomorrow today. Y'all guys listen. I'm telling you, write these names down. Remember these guys. I want you guys to remember, because these guys will make some impact on the next level. Make sure you guys tune in next week where I have the guests on the show, and also when I wrap up, for sure, the outlist when I talk about the defensive fronts. Everyone stay blessed. Have yourself a great weekend. Enjoy your family and all your loved ones. Stay blessed.